Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on the Tivoli Rivoli Bracelet to go with the earrings. So these earrings are a few years old and I brought them back to test the dragon thread, and I just so enjoyed, recreating these that I decided to do a bracelet. We'll do a necklace and we'll do the ring. So there is a ring video up already, but it's a little confusing, and many of you have contacted me and said, well, I don't understand this part or that part, so we're going to redo the whole ring. And then we've added the bracelet, and we're going to add a necklace, maybe a pendant. Not sure exactly what the necklace is going to look like yet, but we'll add that as well. So take a quick look at the bracelet. Gorgeous. Love these colors. So this is, as one viewer said, a blast from the past. So I'm using those colors too, which is kind of a blast from the past. We used a lot of amethyst and this beautiful olivine. Absolutely adore them. Very vintage looking. Nice weighty bracelet. Has nice substance to it. It's going to feel good on the wrist. All right, so I'm going to clear this off. We'll get a materials list going and we'll get started. When I put them together, I'm thinking of maybe doing a double with maybe a chaton attached in the middle. That would be something down the road as a separate video, but I'm kind of liking the look. All right, so please like and subscribe if you enjoy my channel, and ring the bell so you get notified when I upload a video. All right, let's get started. Okay, let's get a materials list going. So you need 2 colors of Delicas if you want to do it like I did it, or just 1 color. I alternated my colors. 15-0 seed bead, 11-0 seed bead, 3mm bicone, 3mm pearl. I have a stop bead. I have a toggle and loop clasp. A couple of 6mm jump rings, you might need those. A little piece of Rolo chain, and this is the Rolo chain from my Emerging Spring collection, which works perfectly for this bracelet. And where I put that is on the end here. Rather than using beads, I use the chain, and I really like the way that looks. We've got some dragon thread, and I'm using the 0.006 inch diameter in black, and this is what I used on all the bezels. So just for bezeling the Rivolis, I used dragon thread. Love it. And then I used Fireline for everything else, for embellishing the Rivolis, for adding the units together, for adding the clasp. So you can use all one or all the other, but I love the idea of having this nice supple thread for the Rivolis and having a little bit, thicker thread to attach everything. So, you can decide whether you want to use both or not. Size 11 beading needle. I like the 11 for the dragon thread. You can use a 10 or a 12 as well. I think that's it. So check the description box for all sizes, amounts, colors, links to bead purchases, any coupon codes I might have for this Ringberries mat. Here's the No More Ropes bead tray. There's a link down there for this. Adding thread video. So very important that you click the down arrow or the show more. All the information you need will be there, and anything else that I can think of. All right, so I'm going to clear this off and we'll get started. Let's get started. So thread your needle with about 25 inches of thread. Put on a stop bead or in the middle. So we're going to use both sides. So I picked up and dropped down to my stop bead 36 of my Delicas, and I alternated my colors. So I have a sort of a wine color and then a gold, wine, gold, and so on. You do all one color, it doesn't really matter. Just pull in a touch. So I'm going to take these and sew them into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead. That's this guy right here. Just give that a pull. This is what I have. So I'm exiting this sort of wine color. I'm going to pick up my gold bead. So exiting this bead, skipping a bead, sewing through the next bead. Sew a standard peyote bezel, like that. If you are alternating, all you have to do is pick up a gold, sew through the next burgundy or wine color. Make sure that they pop on top of one another. The first few sometimes don't want to cooperate. See? Pop that over there. And then we'll continue. So just keep going around. Picking up a bead, skipping a bead, sewing through the following bead, picking up a bead, sewing through that burgundy bead, Just going to do that all the way around, and I'm going to step up. Okay, coming down to the end, and I'm going to step up here. So here I have my gold bead. I'm exiting the purple one, or the wine one, sewing through this next wine bead, and then the gold one on the diagonal. And now I'm stepped up and ready to put some more beads on. So I'm going to hold my thumb here now and give it a little pull to start it curving a bit. Now I'm going to pick up a 15-0. I'm going to put a 15-0 in between each sticking out bead, so each sticking out Delica, just adding all the way around. Like so. So just come all the way around and then we'll step up. Okay, coming down to the end, so I have a couple of beads to put on. So here I have that one, and now I'm going to step up. So picking up a 15-0, I'm going to sew through this sticking out Delica and the 15-0 on the diagonal. That's going to step me up. And now I'm just going to put another round of 15-0s on. So picking up a 15-0 and sewing through every sticking out 15-0. Just holding it on my thumb so you can see it, like that. Pulling inward as I go, like that. So do that all the way around and then step up, and then we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So let's just step up now. So here I'm putting on my last 15-0. So picking up a 15-0, sewing through this 15-0. Just get my needle on there and then I'll straighten it out a little bit. There we go. This 15-0 and then the one on the diagonal. It's going to step me up, pulling inward. Now I'm just going to leave this thread and needle for now, and we're going to go to the other side, take off your stop bead, and thread your needle. That's what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just going to I'm putting my thumb and I'm just going to give this side a little pull. So I'm exiting one of the wine colored beads. I just want to get to this outside row or round, so I'm just going to sew through this bead right here. Now at this point you can put your stone in. I'm putting it face down, so this is going to be the front of my bezel. Okay, so give that a pull, and then we're going to do the same exact thing on this side. We're going to add 2 rounds of 15-0s. So here's my first round going. Just putting a 15-0 in between each sticking out Delica, just like that. Okay, just do that all the way around, and then I'm going to let you step up on your own and put a second round on. And then you can actually sew your threads in, because we're going to end these threads and then continue with another thread. So get your first round done, step up, put on a second round of 15-0s, sew your threads in, and then meet me back here. Okay, we're back. So here's the bezel. I've sewn all my threads in. Here's the back, here's the front. Now you're going to thread a needle with about 3 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, leave about a 10 to 12 inch tail. So we're going to use this thread to embellish the entire outside of the bezel, and then we're going to, oh, I didn't do it on that yet. We're going to add some pearls on the back. So we'll try to do with this thread. That's why I have you leaving a 10 inch tail, so you can get, use that tail for the back. All right, so I'm just going to sew through one of the middle Delica. So it is this one right here, the color. Just placing my thread on like that. And then I'm just going to pick up a gold Delica, and I'm going to do a little stitch in the ditch, which is where you just sew through each of the center beads here. So exiting this one, I'm just going to sew through this next one. So it puts a bead in that space in between the 2 wine color beads. It's like the little ditch. Doing that again. Just like that. A little pull. So it sits into place. That's what it looks like. So do that all the way around and then meet me at the end and we'll continue. Okay, I have one more bead to put on, but before I do that, I'm going to take my stop bead off my tail thread, and my tail thread is coming out of this Delica right here. So the wine color one, I'm just going to move it over to this next Delica, the one that's right before the 15-0s. So I'm just moving it out of the way because that's where we're going to work with that later. Okay, so now I'm back to where I am exiting this wine bead right here. I'm going to put my last stitch in the ditch on. So exiting the wine one, I'm going to sew through the wine bead like that, and then up through the next gold Delica. I'm going to give each one a pull, just like that. Okay, let's add some embellishment now. So I'm going to grab some of my 11-0 seed beads and my 3mm bicones. I'm going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead. Just going to put it in between the two Delicas here. So exiting this gold one, just going to sew through the next gold one like that. Then I'm going to take a 3mm bicone, sew through the next one. 11-0 seed bead, sew through the next one. So alternating bicones and 11-0 seed beads all the way around. So get that done and then meet me at the end. Coming down to the end, so putting this last bicone on, I'm going to sew through the Delica and then the 11-0 right past. And now I'm going to work my way around again. So I'm going to sew through this Delica and this 3mm bicone, then the Delica. So I'm reinforcing here. 11-0 3mm bicone. Just going to go, I'm going to do this all the way around because this is where our connection, we're going to connect the components together, so we want this to be nice and strong. So just sewing through all the beads again, the same way that I put them on, so like that. So just do that all the way around until you get to where you started. You know, just go past a little bit, and then I want you to be exiting any one of those bicones. Okay, we're back. So we're going to sew a couple of units together. So this is going to sew together a little different for every other unit, and I'll show you right now. So when I put these units together, and if you hear banging, my retired husband is back to hammering things. So he's just been hammering all day today. All right, so here we go. This unit has 9 bicones, so I can't match each end up because I have 9, and it's not going to be even on each side. So the first two we're going to put together, we're going to put the bicones. See how these bicones are matching up right here? That's how that's going to go. We're going to sew those together. The second one, we're going to sew these two bicones in the center together. That's going to keep the bracelets straight. And then the next one's we're going to go in between the 4 bicones, and then we're going to do the 2 bicones and then the 4 bicones. So you're alternating each way you're sewing it together, and it looks beautiful. And this way it's going to be nice and straight. All right, so here are 2 units. So I'm just going to leave this thread aside, and here's my tail thread that I'm still leaving aside right now for my to put the pearls on the bottom. So let's connect 2 units. So I'm exiting a bicone. So here, thread's coming out of this bicone, and let me pull in super tight for this. So I'm going to hold these 2 units just like this. So I'll be showing you how to do the other one as well, but let's just do this one first. So I'm going to pick up a 3mm pearl. Come where you? There you are, like that. And I'm just going to sew through the bicone, but this way. See, I'm going from the inside out, and here let me put it this way so you can see it. Okay, so do you see how I've gone through I'm coming out of the top of this bicone, I put on a pearl, and I'm going through the top of the bicone on the other side that matches it. So see, when I pull that together, that's what it looks like. It's a method to my madness. So that's how that looks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my two pieces and I'm exiting this bicone right here. This is a little bit picky, this part, but we'll get through it. So I'm exiting a bicone. I'm going to sew through the Delica right after the bicone. So that gold Delica, don't worry, it's connected to the other side. It's not going to fall apart. Just hold it like this. So here we go. So now I've sewn through the bicone, the Delica underneath the bicone. I'm going to reverse direction and I'm going to sew through this Delica right next to the one I'm exiting. And then I'm going to work my way around to this bicone over here. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm exiting this one. I'm going to sew through this 15-0. I'm going to sew through this Delica, this 15-0, this Delica, this 15-0, just using the beads to turn around, and then this Delica right here. So this is what it looks like so far. And then I'm going to reverse direction. I'm going to sew through the Delica that's right next to the Delica I'm exiting and the bicone. If you can't get them together, just sew one at a time is fine. So here, let's just go through the Delica like that, and then this bicone. All right, so just like that. All right. So actually, I'm just going to let you, actually we'll go on, we'll put one more. We'll put the pearl on the other side. So then I'm going to pick up a pearl. There we go. Exiting the top of this bicone, I'm going to sew through the top of this bicone. And you see how that pulls them together, that puts those two pearls on. Now, the reason I went through all these beads here is I really wanted to connect to the bezel as well as the bicones. I just didn't want the bicones to be the connection. I wanted you to go through the bezel. So by doing that, and we're gonna connect the pearls in the middle too, but first let's finish this side. So we've done it on this side. Now we're going to do it on this side. So we're going to work our way all the way up to this bicone again. So you're going to sew through this Delica right beneath the bicone that you're exiting. I know it's a little confusing, but you'll see as you do it, it really becomes easy. So I've sewn through the bicone like that. All right, you know what, I'll just let you get to this point. If you want to go ahead and work all the way up, just like you did on the other side, you can, but I'll do it with you in the next clip. All right, let's continue moving upward. So we're going to reverse direction and go through this Delica. That's what I have. Now I'm just going to work my way down again. I'm using the 15-0s and the Delicas. So the 15-0, this Delica, this 15-0, this Delica, this 15-0, this Delica, through this Delica. So I'm reversing direction now because I'm up at where that bicone is, and then through this bicone. All right, so I'm just going to let you get to this point. We still have some sewing to do on this side. Let me just move this thread out of the way. Okay, there we go. So just get to that point. You'll be exiting this bicone up here and then come back and we'll finish sewing that on and continue. Okay, we're back. So I'm exiting this bicone right here. Now I'm just going to tighten this group up over here. So exiting the bicone, I'm going to sew through the pearl, through this middle 11-0 seed bead, through this pearl, through this 11-0, pull, and that's what you want to do. So you can go around again if you like, so just reinforce that by going around one more time, and you have your first 2 units sewn together. So get that done, and then you can actually sew this thread in. So get that done and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So that's the first unit, and it's nice and strong. It's attached to the center but also to the bezel itself. Now before we go on and I show you how to do the next to sew, the second one on, which is going to use the 2 bicones on either side of 2 units, let's put some pearls on the back of this first unit. So here is my tail thread, and remember I moved it so that we're exiting, pull in a little bit, okay, so that we're exiting this bottom Delica right before the 15-0s. So I'm going to take my pearls and my 11-0s. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a pearl, and an 11-0, like that, exiting this one, this Delica here, skip a Delica, sew through the next Delica. $11.0, pearl, 11-0, exiting this Delica right here, skip a Delica, sew through the next Delica. $11.0, pearl. Come on, you. Couldn't get through that one. 11-0, pearl. 11-0, exiting right here, skipping this one, sewing through this one. So right there. Give it a nice pull. I'm just going to do that all the way around. And then meet me at the end and we'll sew that thread in. Okay, coming down to my last group here. 11-0, pearl, 11-0. Grab another one. Exiting this guy right here, skipping this one, and I'm just going to sew through that original one we started. And you're just going to have to get your needle underneath there. Just let it go there. So it is exiting the Delica under there, even though you can't see it. And then sew up through this 11-0. So the next 11-0 of the group of 3 you put on, the pearl, like that. And now you can sew through all the pearls on the 11-0s again if you like. If you feel that it's, if it's not snug enough, or you can just start putting some half-hitch knots in between these pearls and 11-0s that you just put on. And what that's going to do is it's just going to raise it up enough. Look at the difference here. Oh, let me pull out a little bit. Okay, so I put it on my hand. You see how it raises the bracelet up, the component up a little bit, so that this point is not hitting in your hand. It's just enough just to keep it off your hand, and it gives the bracelet such pretty structure. It looks so pretty from the side. I don't know why I didn't do this before. It's just, I just love it. So as I said, you can go through all the beads again, sew this thread in, and then you're done with your very first unit, and then come on back and we will connect. I'll show you how to connect, do the next connection where you're just going to connect around these 2 bicones. And then, we're almost done. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back. So let's do the next connection. So remember, we connected to those 4 bicones here. We're just going to connect to the 2 here. So you're going to line it up so that 2 bicones are facing each other, just like that. Whereas 4 were facing, all 4 were facing each other on the first one. And again, that's because of we want to make sure this bracelet is nice and straight. So exiting this, make sure you're just exiting one of your bicones. So here I'm coming out of the bottom of the bicone here. See, so move your thread around if you need to. Picking up a pearl. This is a little easier connection. Sew through the bicone on the other side. Pearl. Sew through the bicone that you are exiting. And now you have that one on. You want to reinforce this a lot. So here, just going through the pearl, the bicone, like that. I'm just moving my piece around because it's easy to sew. Pearl, I'm pulling tight through the pearl. Here we go. Through the bicone. So I'm going to reinforce this, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times or 3 times, you know, wherever it feels kind of snug, and then come back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So here here was my first connection. Remember with the 4, here's with the 2. So I've gone through 3 or 4 times, exiting the bicone. Now I want to attach it to the bezel. So I'm going to sort of do the same thing I did with the other one. And the reason I have all these is because I already connected all those, but you'll just have 2 at this point. So here I'm just going to sew through the Delica that's under, that's under the bicone, and then reversing direction. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to work my way around the Delicas and the 15-0s until I can reverse direction here, sew through the Delica, through the bicone. I'm going to go across this pearl, up through this bicone, you got it, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side, so exiting the bicone. I'm going to sew through the Delica underneath my bicone, like that. If you need to change your needle to a size 12, you can do that. Reversing direction, you got it. Then I'm just going to sew that thread in, you know, just go through a few of the beads and sew that thread in. Actually, we were holding it this way. And then you will have these 2 sewn together, and then these 2. So this is what it looks like. See how you have the 4 here, the 2 here, 4 here, connected, 2 here. And that's what you're going to do all the way down, and to have everybody connected. So you're alternating how you're putting your connection on so that it all comes out nice and straight. And there you go. All right, and then what you're going to do is you're going to turn it over, and I've already done these. You're going to add your pearls just like we did on this one. Just do all your pearls on the back and sew your thread in, and then your bracelet is ready for its clasp. Isn't that cool? All right, so just get to that point and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, before we add the clasp, a note about sizing. So because it's a component bracelet, you're going to have full components, and you'll adjust your sizing by the size of your clasp, the length of the chain on we're using a toggle clasp, and the beads you put on before you put your ring on. So this is where you're going to do an adjustment. All right, mine is about 7 1/8 or so, a little bit more, and I have 6 of my units on. So you'll just play with the end to see how the fit is. Okay, so here's my piece that I'm going to add the clasp to. Now on my clasp, my ring is facing in the wrong direction for me, so I put a jump ring on, so it's facing this way, and I could sew this direction. Okay, this is probably a 6mm jump ring. And I did the same thing with the toggle bar. I put a jump ring on, and then I added some Rolo chain. So instead of beading it, I'm using chain, and I'm really enjoying doing that these days. And this chain is from my Emerging Spring collection, way back in the spring. And I think it's the only piece I haven't used yet. I'm not sure, but it's perfect for a toggle bar because it's nice, and it's a bigger chain and it's nice and sturdy. So my end that's going to attach to my component is also facing in this direction, so I can sew that way. Now I'm going to turn my piece over, and if you notice on one end you have 1 pearl that's sort of in the middle of this bezel, and then on the other end you have 2 pearls that kind of come right in the middle here. So you see the 2 here, the 1 here. The toggle ring is going to go, it's going to attach to that 1 pearl area, and the toggle bar, the chain, is going to attach to the 2 here. So set up your piece and then come on back and we'll attach the ring end. So thread your needle with about, I don't know, I have about 1.5 feet of thread. You want a nice long tail because you want to sew this in. We're going to use these pearls on the back. So I'm going to make sure I exit that center pearl. Let me pull on a little bit more. But instead of just going through the center pearl, I'm going to go back through a couple of beads previously, like that, just to, you know, so it's not pulling on that 1 pearl, like that. I'm going to pick up a 3mm pearl and go through my ring, and I'm going to, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick up a 3mm pearl and an 11/0, and I'm going to go through the ring, like that. And just make sure that 11/0 pops down there. We'll get it into place in a minute. Another 11/0 and a 3mm pearl. And we're going to go through the other side of that center pearl. Where are you? There we go. Like that. And when I pull, the ring sits in between those 2 11/0s. You want to make sure it stays in between those 2 11/0s. That's what's, you don't want the ring hanging on thread. You want it to hang on the, you know, where the 11/0s are. Now I'm just going to reinforce this whole group. So go through the pearl, the ring, the 2 11/0s, the other pearl, or just the 2 11/0s, and then the other pearl, like that, making sure you're going to pull this tight in a minute, and then you're going to go through the pearl that's on your component, and you're going to pull both ends like that. And you can do that one more time if you like. You can go around everything, but just make sure that this that the ring is using the pearls as it's, you know, it's on the pearls, not on a thread. And you might have to really tighten things up and hold it with your thumb as you sew your threads in to make sure that stays there. So here we go, pulling tight. Now you can go around again, and then after you go around again, sew through the 2 11/0s and the next pearl on the back, making sure all the while that that is staying nice and tight in there. See that? And then you're going to sew both of these threads in very well. So put a 1/2 inch knot. You can go through these 2, put a 1/2 inch knot. These 2 go through a 1/2 inch knot. So just sew around your outside, and then, you know, with this thread, and then do the other thread, and you'll have one end of your clasp on. All right, so get that done and come on back and we'll do the other side. Let's put the toggle bar on. Oh, but before we do that, in the previous clip, I think I said make sure your ring is in between the pearls. It is in between the pearls, but it's, you know, it's also really resting on the 11/0s. I just misspoke there, but it just looked just like this. You can, even if you want, put a 3rd 11/0 there. But, you know, just wanted to clarify that. All right. So let's do this side. So remember, we're going to attach to these 2 pearls here on the end. This one, this one. So again, I'm going to thread my needle, leave a nice long tail so you can sew it in. And I'm going to be exiting this pearl. So I went back here. I went through this pearl, through this 11/0, this 11/0, and then so I was coming out of this pearl. And again, so I didn't put too much stress on any bead. I'm going to pick up a 3mm pearl. I'm going to go through the chain, so here, like that, in this direction. Now with this chain, I don't need the 11/0 before I go through like I did on the other side, but if you need an 11/0 like we put on the toggle ring end, you can do that, but this one is fitting the 11, it's the pearl is fitting without that 11/0, And then I'm going to pick up, so here I've put on a pearl. I came through the loop on the chain, the ring on the chain, and then I'm going to go through this pearl, so the second pearl, just like that. And I'm going to pop that into place and pull, just like that. All right, and so what you're going to do with this side, because you want to reinforce, but you're going in this direction, you know, just put all your, you know, sew through all the beads on this side, go through again around your ring again. So just get you started, just pull by sewing through these beads. And you could actually just sew in, you know, put your knots here right now. So you're going to go down all the way around the whole ring, and then, you know, when you get to this side, just pop through again to get another thread through there. But you are hanging, you are in between the pearls are really securely, so I wouldn't worry too much about getting more than 2 passes through there. So to get your second pass, remember you're going around and then come through this again, the pearls on the ring again. Sew this thread in by sewing through a couple of beads, and then you'll be done. You have your end on. All right, so get that done, and then come back and we'll finish up. Okay, we're back and we're done. So I absolutely love the way this came out. I think it just was so much fun to make, not hard, and I'm so glad I decided to do the companion pieces to go with the Tivoli Rivoli earrings, because so pretty. So expect to see a ring. We're still going to redo the ring because the original ring video was very confusing, and I agree it is. So we'll redo the ring, and we're going to do some kind of necklace. I don't know if it'll be all Rivolis, probably a combination of Rivolis and units and stuff that we'll put together. I haven't even designed that yet, but we'll come up with something. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.